Welcome to another episode of Dentistry Talks. As always, we are thrilled to have you tune in. Since 2024, we have brought you guests from outside of the profession to bring you fresh perspectives on dentistry. Today, we're excited to welcome Jack Hunter-Spivey, a table tennis champion and Paralympic medalist who has faced and overcome significant adversity throughout his life. Jack has been open about his mental health struggles and will today talk us through his journey, which is one of resilience and determination. Today, we'll discuss what overcoming adversity means to Jack, the biggest lessons he's learned from his career, as well as his journey into comedy and how humour can be used as a tool for education. Whether you're facing challenges in your personal life or dental career, this episode offers an honest and empowering conversation. Jack, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
No worries.
I'm incredibly excited to talk with you. We've already discussed this morning about how much I love table tennis, for example, and I think it's one of those sports that I think touches everyone's lives at some point, whether they're actually good at it or very terrible. I think I'm better than I actually am. So I'm really excited to hear, first of all, how you got into that. I'm going to chuck a really intense question at you to kick us off. Why not? It's the morning. We need a bit of intensity in the morning. So what does overcoming adversity mean to you?
Overcoming adversity for me it's quite a linear thing. I think in terms of when you're born with a disability like I was, I've got cerebral palsy, so I was actually born blind and deaf till I was 9 months old, and my sight and hearing come back and developed. And I think when you grow up managing adversity all the time, you get sort of used to it. I've always had to battle challenges, whether that's going to like an able-bodied school or different prejudices or table tennis or financial difficulties and stuff like that. For me, it's such a gratifying feeling when I do overcome them barriers, but also it can be very frustrating in different aspects as well. So for me, it's a very broad term for stuff that I generally just live my life by, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and it's you've kind of put that in a really nice way there that I think a lot of people maybe haven't considered it. So you said, this is something that it's been just a part of your life from the get-go, and so it becomes not, I can imagine, normal, but just it's a constant battle for you. But then there's that satisfaction, and you know that actually that's not a limit for me. And I mean, we're going to go and talk about some of the stuff that you've achieved. I think that actually kind of segues us nicely into the section where you get to talk about you and what you're all about. So what's your story?
Yeah, so I was born in the home of the greatest football team in the world, Anfield, Liverpool. So I was born and bred from Liverpool. My mum didn't have much at all, really. I say I was born blind and deaf. The doctor said never walk, talk, do anything really.
Okay.
And then at the age of 9 months old, my sight and hearing sort of developed. 18 months old, I still wasn't sitting up and crawling on my own, so they did brain scans, and it turns out I had cerebral palsy. As I say, my mum was a single parent with me and my brother. Okay. We didn't have anything growing up, like money-wise or anything like that. And at the age of 10, I moved to a place called Widnes, which is like 20 minutes outside Liverpool. And I went to a youth club for disabled and deprived kids, really, that we'd get like a hot evening meal. We'd get to meet other kids with disabilities. There was arts and crafts, and there was sports, and they had a table tennis table. And back then, I could stand up a little bit, I could walk a little bit, but I never wanted to use a wheelchair. For me, I thought wheelchairs were for old people. I didn't know they were for like
I understand that association,
disabled people. I wanted to be Stephen Gerrard, like every other Scouse kid growing up. Like I didn't know why I was different. I didn't understand why I had to wear like splints on my legs, or I had to sit down when I was walking and stuff. So I found table tennis, and it was one of the only sports that I could play with my able-bodied friends. And it's the same rules, it's the same equipment. And basically, table tennis, if you boil it down, it's an ego sport. I want to beat you, you want to beat me. That's basically the premise of table tennis.
That's true. I
sort of really enjoyed playing. And one of the people at the youth club like played a little bit and was teaching me. And we found a local club, Halton Table Tennis Club, which was literally a 5-minute walk away from where I lived in Widnes. My mum had a lot of mental health problems growing up. She's got a whole cocktail of mental health problems. So she was really struggling to get me to the local club. So Dr. Bernardo's, the charity, took me with a chaperone to my first session.
Incredible.
And I went to my first table tennis session and I met a guy called Tony Edge. Now, Tony, for me, was the inspiration of how I sort of got to where I am in that sort of sense, because he was a Paralympian back in the 70s, so back when the movement had just started in Stoke Mandeville. And he was much more disabled than me. He was paralysed from like the chest down. He had to bandage the racket onto his hand. He didn't have full movement. And I met Tony, and he sort of said to me, "Do you want a game of table tennis, mate?" And I said, "Oh, you're in a wheelchair, I'll beat you," sort of thing. And he battered me like 22-0. I had absolutely no chance against him at all. And it was just sort of through speaking to Tony and Tony saying, "Look, mate, I can see you enjoy playing, but if you're sitting down in between points, you're not allowed to hold onto the table. You're in agony with your legs. It's okay to use a wheelchair." So not only did Tony teach me about on the table and technique and winning points, he also taught me what it's like to be a disabled person, how to get up curbs, how to do this, how to do that. And for me, I see it as my unique selling point. For me, I wouldn't change it. I often get asked the question, if you were given a £1,000 or you could take a tablet, would you not be disabled and not? And obviously it's a struggle, but it's me. Like it's fine. I have a great life. I play sport for a living. Like it's
that's true.
It's not bad.
Many people get to, I guess, have that as a career.
And for me, I think that the further I get on me in my career, and we can talk about that later, but like I really find a lot in helping other people just with my story. And without this adversity, as we talked about, I wouldn't be helping as many people as I possibly can. And I think for me that's really a genius way to look at it sometimes. So.
Absolutely. I was going to ask about that actually. So there's going to be people listening who may adversity may look different for them, and as it does for everybody, I think you know, it's very unique and very personal to the person. And I was wondering how, if there was somebody who's struggling to frame it in a way that you just have, how has that always been something you've had, or has it been a journey to get to that point where you look at yourself and you're like, this is me, this is who I am, and I wouldn't want to change that?
It's a massive journey to go on that, and I don't think you ever find that final destination of getting there, of fully loving yourself, I suppose. And as a kid, I was so frustrated. I wanted to be like everybody else and do whatever I was doing, and I still get frustrated now. There's still things I want to do, and like me and my girlfriend, we might want to go somewhere and then we'd have to check if it's accessible and it's not, or just, it can be very frustrating. But on the flip side of that, when I do things that maybe other people necessarily think I can't do, or if I can help others in similar situations, for me that is enough to warrant carry on going and being so independent. And a lot of the times I'll meet a lot of disabled kids and they're in awe of not only just obviously the sporting stuff and what I've done, but oh my God, you're in a wheelchair and you've got a girlfriend, or you're going on holiday, or you can travel on your own, or like sometimes you don't actually realise that like you can do whatever you want to do. And I think that's a great part of what I do, is just by living my life, it can be seen as, I hate the word inspirational, but like it's very similar sort of thing.
100%. I mean, you mentioned there that you had that kind of figure when you saw what perhaps you thought you couldn't have in somebody else, and to then kind of be that person for other people. Now I can imagine it's come full circle for you, and it feels good to be able to be that for somebody. Also, really good point that it's not just about the career and the sport, it's about just ordinary life as well, and that is something that you know, it seems very, very obvious, but I think actually a lot of the things that seem obvious in the world often aren't, unfortunately. And actually for people to look at you and be like, this is his life and this is what he's got, and why can't that be me? What a gift.
No, absolutely. I'm just a normal Scouse lad that's done well in what I do, and I just want to get across to people that you can do whatever you want to do, and that doesn't have to be sport or excelling at the highest level in whatever your field is. I think sometimes as a society, and I'm guilty of this as well, of like social media and things on the internet, of seeing perfect life stuff, and I only post the highlights of my life. I don't post the terrible stuff that happens, like we all do, and I think we can get caught up in different people's, oh, look what they're doing, I'm not as good as that, and comparing yourself. Comparison is the worst. Oh, it's awful, and I still do it now against like other players in different classes, or other people doing this and that, and we're all on our own journey, whether that's elite sport, whether that's dentistry, whether that's whatever it is. We're all on our own path, and I think once you start trying to realise that, it makes it a lot better.
And easier as well.
Yeah, for sure.
to move through. I just want to touch on that social media side. So you're on social media.
Yeah.
How do you find it?
It's okay, to be fair. Like I'm getting to grips with it, and maybe I'm trying to like post a lot more and do more stuff, and gain more followers. So if you could follow me on social media, that would be
call to action there. Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think it's a tool nowadays. Of when I started playing table tennis 20 years ago, it wasn't really a thing when you aspire to be a professional athlete, you don't think about social media and media appearance and stuff, and it's an incredible part of the job. It's a double-edged sword. I think a lot of social media, you can be inspired by people, you can follow people's journeys and really feel connected to people, and I really found it helpful, especially around Tokyo and in the pandemic, and not having a crowd in Tokyo, but having social media and people following me and people seeing it on my phone and stuff. It really felt like I had 1 million people behind me, so I think it can be really useful. The flip side of that is obviously you get a lot of hate sometimes, and I've been lucky. I've not really had that many interactions with negativity. I've done a lot of the Liverpool like podcasty sort of stuff, and I'm quite an out Liverpool fan, so you can get a little bit of football banter flying around, but
nothing you can't handle.
but if you're vocal about the wins, you've got to take the loss sometimes. That's the problem I've got.
It's
but
true.
Apart from that, it's all good. Like it's definitely part of it, and I think as a whole, if we use it the right way, it's great.
Absolutely, I agree with everything you've just said. It's a tool that I think has become, whether we like it or not, essential for business, for personal branding, whatever it is it might be. But there is that other side that you've just got to be a bit wary of and sort of hold at arm's length. And it is hard to find that balance, I think. And it can be very consuming. Yeah. And the comparison, what we mentioned earlier about it is the worst for that. Yeah. Because you're right, everyone always shows the best bits. Yeah. Even though we know that, it's hard to remember that sometimes, I think.
And I think for me as well, especially because I'm travelling around the world, I'm going to these incredible places. My natural first thought is get your phone out and film it. Do this, do that. I'm at a concert, film this. I'm at Anfield, film this. Sometimes I have to take a step back and go, just take this in. Like this might never happen again. Like just take it in with your own eyes, and then take a few photos and then post it whatever you want to do. But I think as a society nowadays, we're all phone straight away, and that's fine. But sometimes it's good just to take in the moments. I think I'm getting more conscious that the older I get of like, this might not last forever. Like actually enjoy it. Like,
absolutely. It's I think sometimes it's some of the stuff we're saying, it can feel quite cliche, but I think it's so true that a lot of cliches are cliches because there's a lot of truth in them. And you're right. I think screens and technology are incredible. There's lots of very exciting things that are happening in that area, but you've got to remind yourself sometimes that this is life, and it doesn't have to be. We can see it and we can feel it and hear and be it. So. Yeah, thank you for that.
No problem.
You've been very vocal about your mental health. Comfortable talking about this?
Yeah, of course.
Wonderful. Yeah. And it's a common theme in it's really great that we're having these conversations. I think we can't have them enough. So I was hoping you could kind of touch on that for us. So I know you've had some periods of real lows, and obviously you've come out the other side of that, and I'd like for you to just sort of maybe describe a bit about kind of what you faced in terms of challenges in that area.
Yeah. My mental health journey, as you can talk about, is a really complicated situation. Like it would be. As I say, when I grew up, my mum had a lot of mental health problems. She's got a whole cocktail of depression, anxiety, bipolar, multi-personality, the lot of spectrum of stuff. But when you're growing up in a household like that, my mum's been amazing. She's brought us up incredibly, and the things she sacrificed when we were kids, like for instance, the table tennis sessions were £2.50 a session. She was sacrificing loaves of breads, pints of milk until I got help from Holton Borough Council, and they sort of helped me do the fees, and Karen Tong, she helped me as well, and all that sort of stuff. So when you grow up in a household with someone who's struggling with mental health, sometimes I'd go into my mum's bedroom and she'd be crying, and I'd say, "Mum, you okay?" And she'd say, "I've just watched this sad film," or she would go through more of a manic phase, so she couldn't decide what wardrobe to buy, so she'd end up buying 4 different colours, and the house would be full of like furniture and stuff. And when you grow up in them situations, you don't actually fully understand it till you get older. I moved to Sheffield when I was 18 to become part of the National Paralympic Centre, and was living the dream of being a professional athlete. I was earning maybe 10 grand a year, but it was enough to live with students and get by, and it was incredible. It's what I dreamed of as a kid. But I just didn't feel quite right. I didn't understand what was going on. I always felt like I was in the world but not in the world. Like I always felt like no matter what I did, no matter if I'd won the lottery, if I'd won a big match, I'd won this, I always felt like in a dark sort of cloud. But I didn't know that was a dark cloud, because obviously in situations I'd never met anyone else apart from my mum or whatever who talked about mental health and stuff like that. Going through the tournaments, the way the qualification system works for table tennis, you have to get to a certain world ranking to qualify for games. And this is around the 2016 Rio Games. I was really developing through, but my results are going up and down. I was really struggling, and I had like a 2-week breakdown in my life really when I was 18. When I don't really remember it too much, but I was getting to training late. I was crying in the sessions. I wasn't showering. I wasn't washing my clothes, and the coaches have been saying to me, "Are you okay? What's the matter?" And I'd make excuses saying, "Oh, I'm just living with students. My washing machine's broke, or my train was late, or whatever." Like just trying to do stuff like that. And they were really supportive, and UK Sport have been amazing in trying to support me, and the Great Britain team as well.
Great.
And we have a sports psychologist. He sort of came up to me and said, "Are you okay?" And I just broke down and said, "I hate myself. I don't want to be here anymore." And it was the first time I'd ever reached out to someone and said I was struggling. Since then, going through them times, I got to a stage where I was covering every reflection in my house around. It was taking me 45 minutes to an hour at the front door because I couldn't leave. I couldn't look myself in any sort of way. I wasn't taking care of myself, and I ended up trying to take my own life 3 times around that time of competing. Table tennis was the one thing that sort of saved me in that sort of sense of when I talked openly about mental health problems when I was 18, 19, there was no one that was a professional athlete that came out and said, "Oh yeah, I've got mental health problems, but I am one of the best players in the world." It was always, "I've retired, oh by the way, I did have problems," or "I'm a retired athlete now," and and I wanted to come out and say, "Look, I'm just a normal lad, I'm battling here, and I'm also trying my best to be the best in the world." And I got a lot of people saying, "Is it the pressure from table tennis? Is it this? Is it that?" For me, it was the opposite. The reason why I was getting out of bed was because my coaches were ringing me saying, "Where are you?" The reason why I was getting flying around the world and being around people, because for me, I needed to be around people. Because if I was left on my own, it could have been a different story. So it really did save me in that sort of aspect, and the support I received from my friends and family. And there's been times where I've rang my mum and I've had tablets in my hand and I've said, "Mum, I can't do this anymore." We're both crying. She's trying to get hold of me, and we've been in them sort of situations. And then trying to compete for the world ranking points and going to different tournaments and stuff like that. And it really did suffer with it as well. I think you never get over mental health problems. You learn to adapt and do different things. And I started to see a psychiatrist through through the healthcare that we get through the squad. And as I say, UK Sport, the Para GB team have been incredible, and the support they've given me.
You've had a really good support system around you in however that looks. You know,
no,
be it in your career or your family and friends as well. And that's amazing to have that. And I think it's really important what you said there, is that this isn't something that just disappears or goes away. It's just about managing it better. I mean, what do you do now to keep your balance?
For me now, I still struggle. I've been through times, even when I met my girlfriend 7 years ago, I was really struggling. I was living in a flat on my own, but I wasn't looking after myself. I was functioning. I'd messed up one bedroom. I'd moved to the spare room. That was messed up. So I was living on my own couch in the flat. And then I met my girlfriend, and she sort of seen me in this sort of different way. And I think that I don't often tell the story, but I think it's quite apt of like when me and my missus first met together. It was New Year's Eve. She came round, and I was saying to her, "I'm going away on Saturday. I can't meet up," sort of thing. She said, "No, let's meet up for New Year's. We'll say hello, first date," sort of thing. And I thought I was actually...
It's a nice first date.
She came round the flat, and when I was saying I was going away, she actually didn't realise I was planning to take my own life on the day after. And I said to myself, you know what, if it doesn't go well on the Friday, I'll just do it on the Sunday. That was the way my mind was thinking of, like, I'd written letters, I'd bought the stuff, I'd done all that sort of stuff. We met on that Friday and we really got on, and I'd tried to clean the flat, but it didn't go that well. And I went to the toilet and I came back and she was like just doing dishes in the sink, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She was like, "Oh, I think you're an amazing lad. I think you just need a bit of help." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's something I'd not really felt before." And then obviously we've been through this like whole incredible 7-year journey, and like I still struggle now with mental health. I've been taking antidepressants for 10, 12 years now, and I think that's something that we should all talk about openly.
Definitely.
When I first started taking tablets and stuff, I thought I was taking drugs. Like I thought when I used to whisper to people, "Oh, I'm on these tablets," and they go, "Oh yeah, me too."
Yeah. Oh, do you know
Like,
what? It's
I'm
the
doing
amount
it
of
as well.
when you just open up like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
people who will
Like,
disclose the same
yeah,
back,
yeah.
and you're like, okay.
And I thought that
talk
was
about
like
it.
drug dealing or whatever, or it just felt like I was taking
Yeah.
crack or whatever. Like I don't
Yeah.
know what it was, but as soon as you open up to people, they're like, "Oh yeah, so do I. It's fine." Like, and you get to know different people's situations. And I think for me, as you talk about how do I deal with it now,
Yeah.
for me, I do a lot of talks. I do a lot of corporate talks or in schools and stuff about my table tennis journey, my mental health journey, and for me that never changes. I know how to handle myself better. I understand my own triggers.
Okay.
So for me, if I'm really struggling, one sign could be I get up in the morning and I can't be bothered to jump in the shower, or I've got eczema, so I don't put my creams on properly.
Yeah.
And that, I know for me, that will turn into, oh, well, that just means I'll just get the later tram to training, or just do that. Don't get out of bed today, you don't need to.
Sort of domino effect.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I've really used as well of the support network around me, and also just little things. I think when I'm feeling top of the world and feel great, my goal for the day would be to Paralympic champion, world number 1. I want to win this. If I'm feeling terrible, my goal for that day will be get your feet on the floor, wash your face, get dressed. And as long as I've hit them goals, that's absolutely fine.
I like that. It sounds like you're very good at cutting yourself some slack, which I think is actually a very big part of actually feeling content. Because no day is the same, just as no person is the same. So you're right, goals can look so different.
Yeah. And I think when you, as we talk about the social media and stuff, when you see people in my position winning medals, on being on the TV, doing podcasts and stuff, you can often think they've got a great life and this. And I'm not saying it's not. I have an incredible life, but I also don't post me sitting in my undies eating a pot noodle. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't.
No,
this is what I mean. Like I don't,
a lot of the time, even when people are trying to be super transparent, because this, you know, conversations have changed and become so much more transparent. I can imagine you in particular can notice difference between perhaps 10 years ago and now, what's available and the tools that are out there and the conversations that are being had, even around things like antidepressants. You know, it's come a long way. Not saying we've done it and it's, you know, everything's perfect. It isn't, but it's come a long way. But even when people are trying to be a little bit more transparent about the kind of not so high points in their life, even then, you know, it's still selective. You're still curating it. And I'm not saying that's wrong either. I'm saying I think it's really good. But even so, everything on social media, pinch of salt. I think.
Absolutely.
I think it's nice to be able to have these discussions with people, because I think when you talk to somebody who perhaps you don't know or you care for, and actually they reveal some information about themselves that you relate to, and even just having that connection with someone, okay, it's not just me, I'm not alone in this, it is so helpful. And it sounds like you've you know, now you are very open about the stuff you have either gone through or are going through. I can imagine that can be quite a great connector as well. Yeah,
definitely. And I think I really enjoy doing the corporate talks to people, or the school talks and stuff, because selfishly, that's a bit of accountability on my part of like, I'm here talking to you about it. I'm still struggling. I'm still doing that. I'm still talking to you. But B, if I can help other people with my journey, then for me it was all worth it. Like I've been to some horrific places in my own mind, and we've talked about. But if I can use that story and that journey to help others, that's worth more to me than any medals I could ever win. I've been to talks where I've had messages and afterwards saying I'm really struggling and thank you for that.
Wow,
and I think one thing I always say is it can always relate to whatever job you're doing. If it is dentistry, I can imagine it'd be quite a isolated job at times, or you're still going through the highs of lows of maybe a job that's not gone great, or a client wants to come in and wants this specific thing and you can't do that. Or equally the flip side of that, if you've changed someone's life and they're amazed with what you've done, you have to deal with that all at the same time. And I think if we can all relate to that to different jobs and different ways, and I've done talks in like factories, and I think just having them different perspectives of like how that works as well. And we're all the nucleuses of our own little world. You might see people obviously like doing incredible things, but you matter to somebody in your nucleus, whether that's your friend, your family, your dog, your brother, your sister, everybody. It matters, and that could just be a smile on the bus. That could be getting to work saying you all right, mate, or someone will miss you. Like I've been in positions where I think no one would miss me, no one would know if I wasn't here for a week. They would. Like, and you generally do think that, regardless of what situation you're in. And I think that's what I try and get across, is that like we're just normal people with different things to do, and no one's insurmountable to other people, whether you've got £1 or £1 million. It doesn't matter, like, what we do.
We're all really very similar
When
you strip back everything, and there's a lot of noise in 2025. There is a lot going on, and it can be really, really easy to just lose yourself in that, to really strip that back and stand up. You know, you're doing this, it sounds like you go to a lot of different places, a lot of different environments, and have these types of conversations that we're having today. And to have such continuity of this theme throughout any industry, just really, I can imagine, hammers it home even further. You know, this is universal. Everyone, no one is immune to facing these kinds of struggles.
Well, at the end of the day, we're all navigating the same world. Whether you play sport, whether you're a dentist, whether you're a CEO or something, we're all navigating the same world in a different way. And if we can all realise that, and I'm sure the richest people in the world struggle. I'm sure that the people apart from that struggle as well. We all have our own stories, and I think sometimes when you're struggling, and it's no detriment to people that say, but they always say there's always someone worse off, which is very true. There is people worse off than us in different situations. But when I'm struggling and when I feel my lowest, it's not something that crosses my mind, because I feel awful at that time as well. And I think also comparing yourself of like, oh, I have a great life, but there's other people worse off, can be good, but it can also be a negative, because you can also struggle in your world regardless.
It can make you downplay your own sort of issues that you're dealing. If you're okay, I'm actually really you can basically they're not mutually exclusive, are they? You can have a wonderful life and still have moments that are really, really hard. And I think that to understand that there's that's not a binary, they can overlap, and that's okay. I think we're quite black and white sometimes, aren't we? We're not very good at looking at the grey.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to look at the grey, because the majority of the time that's where we fall. So thank you for that. I appreciate you being so honest about your experiences. I want to talk about table tennis now. It's something that's obviously been in your life from a very young age, which is such a rare thing, I think, to have, and really wonderful to I can imagine look back at when you started at the youth club, and now look at where you are today, and the experiences and the medals that you've brought back. You can think, okay, I actually made that happen. Like, I did that. So I just want to ask him, you've probably been asked this a million times, but I've got to ask it, what is the absolute highlight for you of this career?
Oh, it's incredible, because I think as an athlete, when you're in this journey of like traveling around the world and winning matches and winning big things, you're always looking at the next goal, the next medal. But looking back over the last year, the medal in Tokyo, I won a bronze medal in the singles. That whole process of going through a Paralympics in the pandemic, going through that, and for instance, the qualification period for that, I had to be, I think it was like 7 in the world to qualify.
So difficult.
I was like 50 points in the qualification. The guy below me was obviously 50 points away from me. He played a tournament against the world number 1, managed to beat him, so he went 1 point above me.
Oh my gosh.
Then basically the world went, there's a pandemic, there's no more tournaments, unfortunate. So I had another 2 tournaments to play.
Right, I see.
Wasn't able to play them, so I didn't qualify for Tokyo.
I see.
Then they brought out this criteria of the world qualification tournament, which is basically a tournament for everybody who hadn't qualified. There's 1 spot left. Whoever wins this tournament gets the last spot. Now, we couldn't train at all in the lockdown. We weren't allowed to leave. So the Great Britain squad sent us tables in our house, and we had a robot that was firing balls at us.
No way.
In training and stuff like that.
Was it helpful?
And training over Zoom, and the coaches are on Zoom. And
incredible.
I lived in a little 2-bed flat, and literally the size of the table tennis table was my living room. So my missus, like, we took the couch out, so we were like eating our dinner off the table. The telly was on the other side. I was doing my gym sessions underneath the table. Like, we lived and breathed that sport for the whole lockdown of like trying to get me to this qualification tournament. I went to the qualification tournament. I was number 1 seed, but I lost in the group stage to an unknown Russian guy that I'd never played before. I had to beat my next opponent 3-0 to get through on count back. Managed to beat him 3-0.
Incredible.
And I went on to the final to win the qualification tournament. So that whole journey of just going through that whole pandemic of but not just me believing in me, but Lucy, my girlfriend, believing in me, and my family, and the coaches on Zoom and everything like that. But we get to the Paralympics, everyone's incredible at how I've gone through this journey, but also I was like 8th seed for Paralympics, 7th seed. I was never meant to be anywhere near the medals.
Wow.
My first match was against the world number 2. And
don't make it easy for you, do
It was crazy. Like, I don't know to explain. Like, so in the lockdown, because we were training so hard, usually I'm competing against my international rivals once a month, twice a month. So you know their level. Yeah. You can gauge it against their level. But for me, it was like being on the Bake Off and making your own cake and not knowing if you'd had the best cake in the world or the worst cake. You didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't know.
You had no idea what
I didn't know what my level was compared to theirs.
No.
What they've been up to. I managed to beat the world number 2, 11-2, 11-3, 11-4.
Wow.
It was the best win I'd ever had in my career. Best game I'd ever played.
That's so good.
And it was amazing because I played in Rio and even just get to that Paralympics was a journey in itself. But I didn't win a match. I got out in the group stage. So I managed to get through my group in Tokyo as number 1 in my group. Yeah. But there was a shock loss in the group next to me, basically, and the guy from Norway, who for me is such an inspiration for me because I played an international in 2008 and I was obsessed with table tennis when I was younger. I used to wake my mum up banging the ball against the wall. I used to go on YouTube and watch table tennis. There was only one video when I was a kid of a guy called Tommy Urhaug from Norway. And he's like won multi-world championships, European championships. He's like the GOAT of wheelchair table tennis.
Okay.
I met him in Liverpool 2008. I got a photo with him, asked for his autograph. It was incredible just to meet people like that. In Tokyo, he'd lost in the group next to me, and I had to play him in the quarterfinals for for the bronze medal, because if you get to semi-final, you've got a bronze medal. Yeah. Now, me and Tommy are great friends. I've been to Norway a lot to train with him. We've played doubles together. Okay. He really has been an incredible role model for me to look up to. I'd beat Tommy once in 2017, but since then I'd never beat Tommy. Okay. I managed to beat him 3-2, 12-10 for a bronze medal in the Paralympics.
Was it? I always wonder in those situations. Obviously, you're playing. You say you know your words. It's an ego sport. You want to win. Yeah. They want to win, and that's what it is. Is it harder to keep that focus on winning when you're playing someone who you have genuine respect for? I always wonder this, because obviously these kinds of rivalries come up in sport a fair bit. So how was it playing him?
It's incredible. I've played Tommy countless times, and he's beat me countless times. I think I've beat him 4 or 5 times in my career. He's beat me must have 20 odd times. For me, I have to dissociate between the great friendship and the help he's given me off the table, and I'm just playing an opponent. If I start thinking about his friends, his family, his kids, and all that sort of stuff, you can't go down them routes. No. We go to war on the table, and as soon as that's finished, we're complete friends.
I like that. As
soon as I'd won that medal, it was an incredible feeling, and I can't explain the feeling of like actually achieving your dreams, of in that moment of this was never meant to happen. The first thing I said to Tommy was it was an honour to play at a Paralympics. That was the first thing that came to mind, because I'd watched this man grow up of playing incredible Paralympics, and he actually went on to win the gold in Paris, the Paralympics, after to do that. And I was following the journey straight from there as well. And it's crazy if you talk about back home and with the pandemic and stuff. We didn't have a crowd there, but all my teammates were in the stadium watching. It felt like I had loads there, and also none of my matches from Tokyo, there's no footage of it because I wasn't on any of the TV tables. I'm not sure if they didn't expect me to win a medal or whatever, I don't know. But I was never streamed on any of the things. So there was only live scoring where you can just see like 1-0, 2-0. But it broke at 10-10. So Lucy and my family didn't know that I'd actually won the medal till I'd FaceTimed them.
Oh, no. That must have been quite nice, no?
Yeah, so my friends and family were basically living on Japanese time in case I needed them for the week.
Oh, bless them.
So they connected through that. I can't, there's little PlayStations with headsets, and you're watching it and stuff. And I FaceTimed Lucy and was like, I've done it, like done this thing. She's like crying, but it got to the point where it was like 10 minutes of, I need to ring someone else now because I can't get a word in, sort of thing. And just that moment of, just that precious moment of everybody on this group called, my mum, my brother, my girlfriend, everybody, and just having that moment of, oh my God, I'm a Paralympic medalist, was absolutely incredible. It's something that'll live at me forever.
Well, I was going to say, and that's something that nobody can ever take away from you. You know, exactly. That's yours now, and to be able to relive that and think back at that time and get the same kind of feeling that, you know, it's. I mean, I can't even imagine what that must feel like, particularly given what you've gone through, and I can imagine personally as well what you've battled and what you've pushed through too. And you could probably, you know, there's a lot of like what ifs, and sometimes you can kind of dwell on that, like what if this, what if that, but it's it's amazing that you got to that point. You have it sounds like you were such a great support circle around you, which is really, I think it's something, you know, not everyone is necessarily afforded. So it's like, it's wonderful that you've got some people to lean on to.
For sure. And like going to the Commonwealth Games as well in Birmingham, the last one, that was amazing. 2022, yeah. So I was number 1 seed for that Games. They never had my event in it before. And that was a different pressure because I was the underdog in Tokyo. There's no pressure on me. I managed to do well. But then now I'm going to the Commonwealth for a bit of a profile. I'm meant to be winning this tournament. And
oh God, how does that feel?
It was a strange environment because it was a full stadium that I'd not really played in too much, and a home crowd.
Yeah.
Was it
Spoiler,
amazing?
You did win,
it was,
right?
Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, I'm Commonwealth Games champion.
Just add that one in.
But for me, that was amazing because my friends and family were able to be there, and in the final,
kind of support.
Yeah. And my coach Andrew Rushton, he won a gold medal years ago in able-bodied doubles, and he sort of said to me in the day of the final, "Don't go in the venue." He said, "I played home games in Manchester."
Really? Okay.
He said, "You will
freak out.
You will freak out if you go in that venue that day." He said, "Go in when you're going to warm up and do your processes. Don't sit in that venue all day." So I got there, and it was literally like Anfield coming out. It was 2,000 people in the NEC with one table in the middle.
Oh, I've been to the NEC,
screaming my name and like stuff like that. I'm coming out live on BBC One, I think it was. And I look up and all my friends and family are there. My mum's there finally. My brother, like everybody. They're all wearing like t-shirts with my face on.
Oh, I love that.
My mum had a t-shirt saying Jack's mum, like I didn't know who she was. I don't know why she had a t-shirt saying that, but
oh no, that's just proud,
it was
you know?
It was an incredible full circle moment for me, and I remember just there was thousands of people there, and I was just focused on these white t-shirts that I could see with my face on, of like I could see Lucy, I could see them in the eye, and like this full circle moment of I've won it, I've done it, and everyone can be here to enjoy this because this medal isn't just for me. Like I'm just a front man of a big band, a big orchestra of people behind me that have helped me get this medal. Yeah. And them moments mean more to me of showing them that I'm so grateful for what they've done for me.
I bet.
And the whole country as well was behind me doing this incredible thing. And every bit of that medal, whether that's me winning, losing, doing talks, for me that is how that feeling is of helping. That's the wider bit.
Yeah,
really,
it's incredible. It's I can imagine it hit different in that space. You know,
sure.
being home, having those people around you. And also after the pandemic, I think a lot of us after that thought that wouldn't happen again. Those sorts of in-person, crowded sporting events. So to then have that in 2022 and be in the UK for it must have been amazing.
I mean, as athletes, obviously we played the Paralympics 2021 as it got postponed. So going into 2022. We were having discussions in our WhatsApp group going, there won't be any crowds. Like, we don't know whether people are going to turn up in masses anymore because people hadn't been to a big sporting event since the pandemic, really. But then when it was sold out every day, we were like, whoa, this is something special. Like, this is incredible to be a part of it. Like, it was amazing. Really good.
I bet. I want to talk about your comedy now, which is incredible and something I have a lot of admiration for. I actually had a conversation with someone very recently where I said, I think for me personally, one of the most impressive art forms when it comes to performing is comedy, because I think you are very vulnerable when you're doing it. That's not to take it away from any other kind of performance, but I just think that in particular, you're quite exposed, and I have a lot of respect for people who do that. So, I mean, why was that an area that you decided to kind of explore?
For me, after winning a medal in Tokyo, I wanted to find that next adrenaline rush, that next sort of winning feeling that you get when you do something massive, without going and going to party and drinking and doing all this stuff. And I thought, you know what, I've been through the biggest battles of my life, and I've always connected with stand-up comedy with my brother, and I found comedy such a massive thing in my life. I wanted to be the first Paralympian to say that he'd started stand-up comedy and win a medal in the same year. Nice. So in December of 2021, I booked into a little gig in Widnes. I literally told Lucy and my best friend Josh. Okay. Josh has got the biggest mouth in Widnes, so he told like everybody. So all my friends and family in Widnes, there must have been about 30 people. Oh my God. I turned up to this pub and I thought it was going to be no one. Incredible. And that first gig was like one of the scariest things I've ever done. It's more scary than playing in Paralympic finals and all sorts. But I really enjoyed it. Like I got that really big adrenaline rush of doing it, and it was really nice to be like rubbish or something, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like stand up is such an incredible art form of like, if you learn an instrument, you can practice that in the house, you can do this, and that's obviously very skillful. But for comedy, I could write a joke, think it's hilarious, I could tell people,
That's true.
and it's not. I can only test that in front of people.
Yeah.
And also you've got to gauge the different crowds, and I could tell a joke that might not land and no one laughs, but if I change the cadence of it, if I slow it down, if I say the punchline this way, then it becomes a whole different bit. And just being immersed in that world of like, okay, you might have won Paralympic medals, you might have a bit of a profile, but if you don't make me laugh, I'm not going to laugh. And for me, that was amazing, because I can be in them situations of like, I'm learning a craft here, like I'm starting from grassroots and doing this thing, and it was amazing to be part of. And I think just bringing people laughter, there's nothing better than just, no matter what your day, your week's been, if I can try and make them laugh and they're really enjoying it, then that's brilliant for me. And selfishly as well, if I've had a terrible week in training but I've had a good gig, I can lean on that.
Yeah.
If I've had a terrible gig, I can do it.
I think the word like selfish, sometimes we always use it. I don't know if you did that, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's got, I feel, unfair negative connotations. 'Cause actually, I think you've got to put yourself first in order to even be there for other people, in all honesty.
Sure.
And if it's always, everything we do is always going to have you want to bring joy to your own life as well. And yeah, I think it's important to have multiple things that you can get joy from.
Absolutely,
and comedy, I think is like, as I said, I have a lot of admiration for it, but I think it's such a collective experience for both the person on the stage and the people who are watching. How do you prepare for that? As in, there's gonna be lots of people who would be absolutely terrified by lots of what you've just spoken to us about, and how do you keep a calm head when both in comedy and in your sport?
I think it's pushing the boundaries of what you feel. I think that first gig, what you don't want to happen is nobody laugh and everyone's like, what's he doing? But when you've done that, like I've done gigs, like the first few gigs, no one laughed. I was doing 10 minutes and there was silence, and it's actually not that bad.
Okay.
And I've been in situations going, even in table tennis, where it's fight or flight. I'm thinking, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. But it's pushing yourself in that boundaries of like, no, just take a breath. Like, you're not going to die. Like, that's absolutely fine. I think for me, because I have been in genuine life or death situations, I know what that feels like. This is just table tennis or comedy. If I win or lose, obviously it's devastating, but I'm still here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
no,
I'm
it's
trying
true.
to because I generally at one point in my life didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, and now I have a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just trying to live it as much as I possibly can.
I love that.
And that's, for me, is a massive part of it. It's like just doing different stuff. Like, as far as I know, I'm the only, at the moment, active Olympic or Paralympic athlete also doing stand-up comedy. There's people who are retired Olympians and Paralympians, and there's some incredible comics that have been ex-athletes. But as far as I know, I'm the only current athlete that's also doing stand-up comedy.
I love that.
And I think that really gives me a unique perspective on life, because A, does it help me in table tennis because I'm in front of crowds every week. So I'm used to just being in front of people. B, I do a lot of public speaking, so the actual being in front of crowds talking was fine. Telling jokes is a different kettle of fish. So, and just towing that line of like, my sense of humour is very different, and if I can joke about stuff, it feels a bit better. So I'll make jokes about being disabled or mental health problems or travelling around the world or whatever, and I've got quite a unique perspective on that, and that's fine, because I'm also inadvertently breaking down barriers of social norms.
Absolutely,
like, and I think that's a great part of it as well.
Yeah, it's got that element to it as well, and I think that actually leads me on to my next question, where in my research, when I was reading about you and watching some interviews you'd been in, you said that you feel there is an awkwardness around disability, and I was wondering if you feel that has broken down at all throughout your life, and how you feel there could be if you feel there could be a day when that isn't really something that ever has to be considered.
Definitely. I think since I was younger, I think the awkwardness around, when I say awkwardness, I think it's more to do with people not being exposed to disabled people as much as I am.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
In my circle, a lot of my friends are disabled. My missus works for a learning disability charity, so she's always around disabled people, and it's just a normal thing. We don't view other people differently, and I think society, because obviously statistically there's less disabled people than able-bodied people, it can be a bit of a stigma. It can be different things, and
Yeah, definitely.
And I can understand why that's awkward. And I sometimes I see people in public and I'll go, oh yeah, they're in a wheelchair. Like in my head, that's a normal thing to think. That's okay to think. It's when you start treating people differently because they have,
of course,
a difference. That's when it becomes a different grey area. I think a lot of able-bodied people sometimes can get offended on behalf of disabled people.
Yeah.
And that is a very different thing. I could make jokes about being disabled and say certain words or whatever, and that's no one else's position to understand. I'm not directing it at somebody, or for instance, just little tiny things that annoy me sometimes in society, but that people don't mean it in a nasty way at all. Or say if I'm going around, I don't know, like a town centre, I'm just going about my day listening to music, and there's people in front of me. They'll move out the way and go, oh, let him go through. Yeah. I'm just in the crowd like everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
I
all
understand
right.
That. Yeah.
Or I'm not. Or sometimes I'll be in the crowd and someone will go, do you want me to push you? I said, how do you think I've got you?
Fine.
Like, how do you think I've got in the middle of this town centre?
So
like,
true.
And people aren't being nasty at all.
No,
and they
it's
don't
not
mean
malicious.
it exactly.
It's the exposure.
It's just
element,
exposure from it. So I think to have more disabled people in the media, to have more disabled people out and about. Because I generally the reason why I started comedy is because I wanted to be a funny person who happened to be in a wheelchair. I didn't want to be that disabled person who does comedy.
I see what you mean, yeah.
So if I could get myself more exposure and I'm doing more media stuff of, oh, that's a funny bloke. Oh, I didn't realise you're in a wheelchair. Yeah. Because on that, I don't know that.
It's an afterthought.
Yeah, like when he was sat on that couch, I didn't see the chair. Like I was just a nice bloke.
Yeah.
Like, and he's breaking down the barriers of like, oh, that's it's okay to recognise people and know it's okay to go up and say, do you need a hand with that? That's absolutely fine. Or if I'm in a shop, do you want me to reach that? And I say, oh no, it's no problem. Oh yeah, can you reach me that? It's fine. It's when you go, what do you want else? I'll hold your basket. I'll do this. Go and grab this. I'll do that. Like just
overcompensating.
Overcompensating. And I think that's where the awkwardness, and I completely understand where it does come from.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fine to do. It's just having that open conversation around the disabled person, because we are just human. Yeah. The only difference between me and you is my shoes don't get dirty and yours does. That's the only difference between the two of us. That's literally it. And I think that. When you sort of view things like that, it's absolutely fine.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think what you're describing there is a lot of it is going to take time. Yeah. Because as you say, it's more deep rooted. It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some terrible comments and people out there who will say some really awful and derogatory comments to all kinds of people. Yeah. However, for what you just described there, those sort of situations, 9 times out of 10, it's not malicious and it's coming from a good place, but it's just not spoken about or talked about, and it's not understood properly. So I feel it is going to take time to get people there, but because people like yourself are putting yourself out there and having these discussions, it allows people to just better understand. And as you say, you're sitting here on a sofa, you're just a person. Like it's again, it seems obvious, but it's not to some people.
And I think some people automatically view disabled people as like I've had a lot of people say, oh, how long have you been in a wheelchair? I say, I'm born like it, and they go, oh, it's a shame. No, I've got a full life. I'm a professional athlete. I travel around the world. It's absolutely fine. But automatically you've thought my life's not as good as what it could be because I'm disabled.
And that's where that reframing
comes from. And I'm not saying that there's people that don't struggle, because absolutely there's people with disabilities that struggle and really have health conditions that are awful, and I'm in quite a privileged position, but to automatically assume that I'm upset about being in a wheelchair is a different mind frame.
Definitely.
I'm not upset if, I wouldn't presume someone with a different hair colour was living a different life, or someone who wore glasses or whatever. If we could get to an ideal situation, it would be, they've got a difference. They've got some sort of difference with them. And I think we can get caught up in terminology and not saying this, not saying that. People say you're not allowed to use the word disabled or whatever. That's absolutely fine. It's when you direct it. If I called someone, oh, are you disabled? Or just go, oh, have you got a disability? Like, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter, but it's the context of how you're saying
context matters, yeah.
And the horrific things that we say between two disabled people that we wouldn't get away with if you're able-bodied. It's just normal jokes that we'd say. It's a very different context of when we would do other stuff, and I think getting offended it goes both ways of different stuff.
Definitely. I think that's where that humour comes into it. You know, that it's helping to find those connections with people. So I totally agree with everything you just said. To round us off today, I wanted to ask you what the best bit of advice is you've ever received, be it in your personal life or your career.
I think the biggest advice I was given is probably from my brother in terms of, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was when I was really struggling. I had no one else to lean on, and I rang him and I was crying, saying, I can't live anymore. This is me done, sort of thing. And he said, look, you've got two ways of doing this. You can either sink or swim. You can go. You could do that. You could fester. You could give up your career. You could do that, or you can find ways to battle through this, and we will help you and sort it. And I've got he's big into Japan, and I've got a tattoo in my arm that's a quote, and it's like 3 years in a rock, which is like a Japanese proverb.
Okay.
And he told me that is basically, if you sat on a rock for 3 years, eventually it'll get warm. So in terms of like if it is eventually, if you persevere at something long enough, it gets better. And for me, that really stuck with me, and it's tattooed on my arm now because it was something that really stuck with me of, okay, things can get better.
Yeah.
And when people say things get better, and it's okay not to be okay and all that sort of stuff, I'm genuinely here to say it does get better, because I did not see that I would be alive at this point in my life. And I think when you've got some lived experience at that, I think that's the biggest piece of advice of now, when it's not life or death, just go and live your life. Whether you want to change career, whether you want to excel in your career, don't get bogged down, because it's just life. And things will come flying at you. Things will be good, things will be bad, but it's just life, and you just enjoy it as much as you can.
Jack, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.